You never watched Jurassic Park?
I've never seen Jurassic Park.
Oh, dude. My brother was obsessed with it growing up. I'd probably watch it 56 times.
Most of the movies I watched growing up, I probably watched 56 times. You have a problem at my house.
What?
We're not done.
I know, I just had to go to the bathroom quick.
What are you doing out there with it? Okay, yeah. All right,
The bathroom outside.
so
Pop pills.
again, this is optimal. This is not always going to work, okay? But like I said, keep this in the back of your mind because this will always be option number one. Anytime we're transitioning distances, we're always going to start, like I said, start at 10, work our way to 20, work our way to 30, work our way to 40 over the course of like a couple of months, right? And like, so it's like, we're going to spend a month here, and then, but like then towards the end of the month, what you can do, is we'll just bridge the gap, okay? So we will build, or we will run or sprint to 10, and then once you get here, keep the speed the same and just hold it for technique, right? And that's the same thing, we're gonna kind of carry out, it's like basically sustaining power, or right, building like power endurance. And like that would be like a really good way to like bridge the gap in the last week, or you throw that in like the intro week, but like, all right, we're gonna do like, so say we're just coming off a month where we just did like a bunch of 10s, and now we're gonna do, this would be like a flying 10, okay? So where you're not running full speed, like this would be a build. But you're gonna build to 10, and you're gonna maintain for 10, all right? And then that way, you're just getting used to going further, but you're not necessarily speeding up the whole time, so it's not nearly as intense. That would be a good way to introduce new distances, or you could kind of chop it up and just go like a couple of 15s and then kind of segue out. But ideally, right, we'd want to do this. And then if we, on a greater distance though, it's easier to do like a flying 10 is where you focus on the last 10 yards of the sprint. Okay, so say it's like month 2 or 3, like we want to get into like some 30s. You would go ahead, you would build up to the 20, and then from 20 to 30, you're on 100%. Okay, so same idea, right? It's kind of like if you break down a lift, right? Like if you have really weak triceps, like, and you want to get your bench better, but like your bench sucks because your tricep sucks, like you floor press, right? Because it's all tricep. Or like if your power clean sucks because you can't extend, like you can't like knock it off your hips when you hip extend, you'll probably just do a hang clean and work on extending. This would be the same thing. So if someone's like pretty strong, they're going to be good here. But if we're pretty slow as we get up to speed, well, like instead of having them do 4 30s and be dead, because like maybe like this first 15 is good and then they have to pitter out. It's like, okay, let's build up. We're getting more quality reps at a higher speed. And that's why you would use those. And like that's kind of like the norm these days is like most team sports, like we'll do just like do like flying 10s. Where it's like instead of like doing like a true 40, it's like, all right, we're gonna build for 30, sprint for 10, and we're gonna build, you can do 20s, you can build for 20, sprint for 20, stuff like that. Like there's multiple different ways you can do this. Obviously that's gonna be probably more of like an outside activity once we get there. But that's probably how we're gonna train. As I've said, that's how we will train speed. Top end speed, elastic power is probably through means of flying 10s. Does that make sense? Tracking. Okay. Questions about any of that in these last 10 minutes here?
How long optimally should you take a break if you're doing a 10-meter sprint? I know it's short distance, but
A flying 10
just a
or?
10 or a flying
just a
10?
10, not any
Minute.
flying. Just a minute.
It's 100% effort a minute.
What about flying 10?
Flying 20,
Flying 10.
flying 10. I'll usually take it for the distance built up.
So if it's
So if it's a flying 10 at
20.
over 30 meters, I'd probably do 2 minutes. Good. Yeah. But the greater the distance, definitely, like, yeah, definitely the more. Like, even like, yeah, if you did a flying 10 at 40 yards, I would probably do 4 minutes. That's still a lot.
Would you ever need that?
Build 30, sprint 10.
Build. Oh, I thought 40. You're saying 40 total, so build 30.
Total, yeah. What do you think I was saying?
Build 40, sprint 10.
No, yeah,
I think you'd cap it right at
Yeah.
the.
Yeah,
I don't think we ever would need to sprint over 40 yards here. Because even like in a soccer game, like no one's ever gonna sprint end line to end line. A basketball court is 30 meters. When has anyone ever sprinted? At most, maybe like free throw line to free throw line, maybe. Soccer, like you'll get a breakaway every once in a while, but that's a flying start. They're dynamically moving. They're not gonna go out of like a block. So it's like you work this for a while, you get really good at this, you get really nice and strong, and then you just start to kind of bleed it out. And you're still working this because you have to start, but then it's like you do a softer start where you like do like a drop in, a walk in, a jog in, a run in, and like you're just saving energy on the front end because obviously the more strength it requires like to do a start, like a hard start, that is going to cost a lot more energy and a lot more out of your session rather than just doing something that you're already moving. And that warrants more rest too. So like a hard start, like if we were to do a flying start out of a 3-point, I would probably do just a minimum of 3 minutes across the board just in general, just because that requires a tremendous amount of strength. Whereas like a drop in, like you cut it off, like usually they're gonna get back and they're gonna be pretty fine. Just like you just notice that they're gonna be chatty. Like if they're like look tired or they're breathing heavy, like it's probably a problem.
So if they have too much energy, we can make them do static starts.
Well, here's the thing, like rest periods, that's gonna be like more elite level people. Is like if you have an elite sprinter and you're working on just 10s out of the blocks, like you're gonna rest a minute per set. But it's like here, like realistically, like
walk back
is totally fine. If it's a really hard start and it's like 15-20 yards, like yeah, maybe give them like a minute or so. What I would do is like I'll wait for the last person to get back and then I'll wait like 30 seconds or so. But it's different because they're working skill and technique still so much, and like there's so much to be learned. There's so much, like the more reps they do, the better chance they are at getting at it. So like I would rather sacrifice rest periods for technique because once their technique gets better, they get more out of it anyway. So like yeah, like you get 10 minutes out there, like you can probably get like 10 to 12 sprints done, right? Because the warm up, you average it out, right? Warm up takes 10 minutes. Drills take probably 5 to 8, which leaves you about 12 minutes to sprint, and then start throwing, and then that gives us a half hour to throw and lift. So yeah, cut something out, right? Like I mean, it's like the drills are important, the sprints and the throws are important.
water's not important.
Water's not important.
No water.
But there's a level of like endurance to it too, right? Like you do 10-10s, like you're gonna get a pretty good level of endurance. It's not like that's the goal, right? But like I said, there's some novice that like they need the reps and they need like some general endurance too. Like that doesn't hurt. Because it's 10 yards, right? Like I don't think anyone's gonna get hurt over 10 yards. I would hope not, especially at this age. We didn't do our job. But yeah, longer stuff, like you get to 20s and stuff like that, like yeah, okay, we can ease up a little bit, but like pretty much anything in here, only give them a little extra rest if it's like a really intense start, like backward seated or like push-up start, like yeah, you can give them like 30 seconds or something like that, but any falling start, any like tier 1, like just, all right, cool, next, get back, all right, good, go, like coach them real quick, go, like, so I used to do it. So that old gym, right, it was so short, boom, go, walk back, go again, go, like, and I just tell them to go and go. I wouldn't even really set a number of reps. I would just kind of go and just look at the clock and be like, okay, like there's still stuff to fix. Like let's see if we can get this ironed out. That's okay. Like I said, know the guidelines, right? Know what's good, so then you can break it. And that's basically what this is like, okay, like yeah, perfect world, we'd have an hour and a half to train everybody, and we could do more sprints with more perfect breaks, and everything's gonna be queued up perfectly. But let him stress him out a little bit. Let him get adapted. It's okay. Cool. Now you got me thinking all I want to. Now all I want to talk about is like the stress stuff. But I'm almost done here. We got you can kill that. We're done for today.
Go ahead.
Okay. What's the emphasis going to be like? So like, good up to here. And then once we kind of get in this 20 to 30, right? We're not quite at top speed, but we're not quite done accelerating. We're kind of in that little middle goofy zone.
Speed.
Or speed?
No, the endurance is anything over 8 seconds, and I hope no one here can run or is running 20 meters in 8 seconds.
Yeah, that'd be really bad.
It'd be like technique, like maintaining that power, like doing things.
There's a power component there too. Yes.
I'm just like thinking, like those are kind of ways to maintain that power for as long as possible, you know?
Yes, it's power. Yeah, well, yeah, that's exactly right, because it's actually power speed is what you would call that, and like you basically just said that in different wording.
Yeah. Okay, speed.
Yes. So because it's not fully speed, and it's not fully power, right? It's a combination of the two, because power, right? Obviously, like you're still getting a lot of work. Like there's more work involved in being powerful than there is being fast, right? Because if you think of somebody at top speed, right, they're just like floating on the ground. But like power speed is going to be like there's a strength component there for sure, but it's also like you're also getting faster and faster with each step up to this point, which is true for the whole thing. But the more
Drawing a little Billy.
But if I'm coming out of the start, like the more I go, the more upright I'm gonna get, right? So like when I'm down here, the deeper my knee angle is, if that's my knee, right? Like this, and that should really be more like probably like here. Like it's gonna be close to the ground, right? That's gonna take a lot more strength to do, like then propel me up as I run over distance. So like the deeper the shin angle, all right, the more strength you got to use. So like that's why like a tall falling start is gonna be a lot easier, a more softer start than like a bottom down squat. Like you have to use force and you have to use strength to get out of that position.
It's a lot like a spring. The more you push it down.
Yeah, and even like a 3-point start, dude. Like I bet like some of our smaller girl athletes are probably putting like upwards of 300 pounds in the ground, just getting out of a 3-point. Right, and then you think like look at like Valdir is stupid fast, and she's also stupid strong. It's not because she's strong; it's because she's fast.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Is the alternative true? Like someone who heel strikes, are they not strong? Are they trying to compensate, or is that?
Yeah, I mean that's a coordination issue.
Alex is over here.
For sure, it's like I think it's 100% a coordination issue.
Okay.
Because like they just haven't been taught how to run the right way, or it could be mobility, it could be.
But if they have mobility and coordination, like they're good everywhere else, you tell them to sprint, and they start.
Here's the thing. Think about it like this, right? I most of the time I don't think it's mobility, because have them do a running C.
Right.
They can do it, right? Their knee can get up here, and they can get up here fast. Okay, that is running. Then just tell them to lean.
Yep.
And they're just going to go faster. But it's like the trick is what their hips drop. All right, so like well, that's like what I look like. I don't like even look at like body leaning. It's like you should kind of like look at like in relation to where they start. Are their hips staying positive, right? Like, and then you want to make sure. So like even like I watched the warm ups out there, and like yeah, it's a warm up, but like also like that is a phenomenal time to take advantage of like easy reps, especially when you're telling them, hey, like 80%, okay, like don't go 100%. Yeah, like I don't think we should ever tell them to go anything less than 80 in a warm up, right? Like they should probably be like, okay, 80, 90%, and each one should get faster. But as you go up, like watch the hips, right? Like if someone's hips drop, something down here is gonna get messed up, because they're not gonna be able to get their leg up as high, and they're not gonna be as fast, but two, like they're gonna have to like compensate somewhere, like Eric said. So even just having someone do like a running C and be like, all right, like stay tall, don't do anything. When you get to me, lean and keep doing running C, but do it faster. Like try stuff like that. Like that's pretty much anytime someone heel contacts, I've literally just done that. Or if I just think, hey, like your hip height like is just like I did what Sammy the other day. Like she's like been sprinting fine up to this point, but it's like, hey, like do you feel that? They're like, yeah, like that feels like way too high. It's like no, like that was actually perfect. And that's where like probably video feedback would come in handy because like they feel like they're probably going up here. Like same with the arms, right? When you first started doing this, you're so used to like staying down here, staying tight. Like it's like as soon as you let them go, you're like, what the heck is going on? Same concept. Sorry if I just fixed your whole study session, but now you know where to go. Power speed. I want to double check. For some reason it doesn't feel right, but like.
When Alex goes to teach, he's just gonna play this video.
Are they fixing that? Is that what they're doing?
Oh, just power speeds. Okay. So then, getting into this. Oh wait, sorry, we didn't go over the elements. Okay, box jumps. Box jumps up and down. Okay. Think of like jump up to a box, into a depth drop, into another box. So like blah blah blah. Does that make sense? Like I'm going to jump up in the box, and then jump down off the box, and then jump up onto another box. Let's go up and down, right? And what does that do, right? I'm doing a couple of ground contacts. So like I'm going up, I'm going down, I'm going up. So that's just what? That's 1, 2, 3, and then a landing. So 4 contacts. And obviously this one requires power. And then this one requires speed, right? Because you got to get off the ground. That's going to be more like a plyometric, like an ankle jump, right? An elastic response, all right? And all these have elastic responses, but like that's what you're training when you do something like that. Is like you want that spring. So you're getting that with all of them, but this one's going to be like super intense because you're dropping off a box of a gravity. And like for example, we talk about like sprinting being like 5 to 7 times your body weight, but like jumping. Is 9.8 meters per second squared times your body weight. So if I'm 200 pounds, I'm putting 19,000 like on it. That's what I do on a depth drop. Every single depth drop is that.
Does it change with height too?
Oh yeah.
So the higher you jump, the higher.
Yeah, that's why Nick's like no you like first of all like kids like benches are high. Like I don't always feel like well, obviously that's all we got. And again like that's okay, but like that's pretty high. Like I'd probably do 12-inch boxes.
19,000 pounds.
Yeah, I'm 200 pounds.
We are strong humans.
It just depends on the height, right? So it's meters per second squared. So that's actually not right. Ignore that.
Dang, I was gonna say that.
Because it'd have to be because it'd be like half a meter. And how long did I fall? And then I multiply my body weight times that.
That'd be like 10 meters. Be like a pancake.
Yeah, I would be dead. That's why, dude. Like people, that's why people fall 10 feet, right? Everything explodes, right? Like Chris's like brother fell off a 20-foot tree stand and like just he said he literally like shot between his knees, went up behind his ears. Like,
no.
He shot down before he like landed like a pencil dive. Sorry, he fell off a tree stand. Like, yeah, it's fine. He broke his back, but like it was not, so it's not fine. But like
Broke his back.
he was fine. He was fine.
alive.
He's fine now. He's fine now. But that's gonna be really intense, right? And like you notice, like this whole time, like we're still gonna keep some of these in here. Like weights are gonna always pretty much be there, right? Like you can still do. I didn't even write it in there, but like weights with power, speed, like that's fine. But as power and speed become more focused, you are probably gonna want to look to intensify things more. Because like what you run into is like more reps doesn't equivalent with more like power. Like it's hard to do like sets of 8 for power, right? Like you want to do more like maximal intense weights, or like you do more like weights for speed. But then like med ball throws, we're always doing those, but now you can even get these even more complex, and you could do like hops, bounds, or sprints with them. So I could like throw a med ball and then ankle jump, or I could ankle jump in, throw the ball, and then like do like a broad jump. Or you could do like throw it and then do like a bound. Like these things down here are gonna correlate to more better training at this distance. And more kind of like this power speed quality. Whereas this last thing here is gonna be, and these would all be like tier 3, right? Or you could even do these in a sprint, right? Like you can do a med ball sprint start, That would probably be more like over here, like the 10 to 20 yard range. I would probably wouldn't do those over 30 yards, but like you could do like I said, a med ball throw and then a short sprint is going to be kind of like a combination of the two. Whereas this last one is just pure speed, right? Anything over 30 meters is going to be like a pure speed, but like anything under 60 as well. So like if you get over 60, that's going to get into more kind of like speed endurance, which we're not going to go over because we don't do that. But like then we would just do like box jumps down, or like depth drops. Like that's going to be more of a, like an elastic response component, right? Because this is going to be speed, but it's also going to be elastic power. Okay, so that's where like stuff like hurdles or like ankle jumps, like hurdles and ankle jumps are the same thing in my opinion, right? Like if you think about like a hurdle jump, like what do you usually see happen is kids will like bring their knees way up to their chest. All right, but when do we ever bring our knees way up to our chest in anything we do, right? It's like, it's just like, it's not terrible, but it's not great. So that's why like I would say like just even using those green hurdles for a fullback or for feedback would be, let's jump over the hurdles, but just keep your legs straight. Because then what are you doing, right? You're stiff, and like that's what it looks like when you're running. When you run at these speeds, that's the stiffness you need because you're upright and your foot just hits the ground, comes right back off, right? You're not spending any time on the ground. Ground contact's super short. So you want like, so when you're coaching it, it's like, all right, like quick, light on the ground, and don't bend your legs. All right, just see what happens. Like, and that's for kids even at the end, right? Like that's kind of like we do that at the end because one, it's kind of like a central nervous system reminder. But it's also like, hey, like let's just get in some like really easy plyos at the end of the session. Like might as well. Like, but like if we just let them say like, oh, just do your jumps. Like don't think like no, like hey, we gotta have some sort of intent with it. And then getting into like bounds, which bounds are tough. I know you and Ian have tried them, right? Like they're tough. Like they're hard to teach. You can get into stuff like that where it's like a bound is literally a sprint, but you're like jumping from leg to leg. That's how I describe it. And there's a little bit of like rhythm and fluidity, so bop, 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 but like.
Really bad hopping.
Huh?
Really bad hopping.
Yeah. I just say like, or like you're running on the moon, just like have some float in between your stride. Yeah, like we don't do a ton of bounding. Like once we get into summer, right? Because like here's how it look, right? Like if we were to do this over the course of the year, what would we do? Like right now, we'd probably start doing this stuff, right? And then as it gets warmer, there you go.
Olympics.
Olympics?
All our athletes are going to go to the Olympics.
Oh yeah, there you go. Well,
All of them.
All.
and like but also like take with a grain of salt that like everyone needs this. Like no matter what time of year they show up, so it's like newer people need this more. And like ideally over the summer we'll have a couple of different groups running at the same time, right? So it's like, okay, I'm gonna take the people who've been here for all year, we're gonna go and do 30s and 40s. Whereas these people need to do 10s and 20s. And like the little munchkins always need to do 10s and 20s. Probably like 10s and 15s for the most part, and then like soccer players could probably do 20s, but med ball throws, we'll keep those, and then sprints, anything under 8 seconds with full recoveries. That's going to be your elastic power. If you do notice though, I mean, like, yeah, weightlifting, but like probably not. Like that's not going to really. Weightlifting does not correlate to like top speed, really. Not even Olympic lifting, but yeah. Notice though, like, what's the common theme here? Boom, boom, boom. Like those are important. Like I think people like don't really respect those at all. But I can tell you, just working with Stone, I've just med-balled the crap out of him.
I've seen
I
that.
think like he's doing like 8 sets of med-ball throws.
You started them out at like 3 though, right?
Yeah, so I went 2. Just each week, just added a set. But like, I don't want to say like he's an outlier or anything. He's very athletic already, but like I don't think that's what's making all of his weights go up so like frequently. I think it's a combination of things. See, we're doing a ton of we're doing like 250 meters like starts, which get you extremely strong. And also look, like we're not doing like bodybuilding. He's getting more muscle mass, he's getting more hypertrophy. Like, but it's like I think like these throws, like you're doing a squat and a push, you're gonna get more out of that. especially over reps, and we're building like kind of like power and capacity, right? So like we're gonna get more like power speed just from doing those. But like I love med balls. I've never like really respected them until probably this year. Those things will get you right. Another like thing I like to think about too. Like I know we don't underestimate like the way like people get bigger, right? And like I think like I was in this camp where it's like, oh, like if you're gonna sprint, you're probably not gonna get very jacked in terms of like lean muscle mass, or even just like getting bigger. Like if someone say I need to put on like 10 pounds, like you can sprint them, and like you can do that very effectively, because there's a couple of types of fibers, right? Like for simplicity, like muscle fibers, for simplicity's sake, let's just say there's type 1, there's type 2, there's like 3 or 4, and there's even like hybrids. But type 1, type 2, type 1 slow, like you use those to run a marathon. Type 2 fast, sprinting, heavy lifting. Type 2 are a lot easier to hypertrophy, okay? So with that, like obviously that means like they grow bigger and faster. Whereas like type 1 are gonna be like, that's gonna be a lot harder. You're gonna need a lot more volume to get any growth, right? Look at a marathon runner, right? Not very big. Like you're like anyone who like requires like significant like aerobic work or significant like endurance, like this doesn't really work. So but like do do 10 by 10 sprints for 3 sets, do 300 meters of accelerations just with 10s, and like you will blow your legs up, and like you'll get like they'll get bigger. Or like even like your chest, like just going like this 7 times 300 or 30, sorry, jeez, not 300. That's a lot of reps at a super high speed. You're contracting your pec way faster than you ever would doing a bench press, right? Like that is always gonna be faster than not moving a weight. Like you can like seriously just get stronger through like starts and like med balls.
We're getting jacked this winter, Trev.
I hope so. I would
You gotta
love
change
that.
your program.
I know.
Again.
But just think though, right? Like back to context, right? It's always gonna relate back to like this stuff is great, and like what I'm trying to do is like we're trying to like expand our whole branch of knowledge and then try to narrow it down to what we do. So like I said, like this is like what is optimal. This is probably optimal. Can we always do this out there? Most likely not. Okay. So the reason we do this though is, one, you need to know what's right, and you need to know the rules before you can break them. But like 2, like so you know, now that you know this, you know what's the next best thing, okay? But then that's going to be situation dependent. So like you're gonna get somebody out there that's like, okay, like I can't do this because we're inside. There's this group here. Alex is warming up his adult climb down the end of the turf. Okay, like all these factors play into it, right? And it's like we got to like, all right, I know what I wanted to do, and like I know like what I'm trying to accomplish. How can I do that? But I got to change something. And like that's really all. Like that's like coaching 101. It's like, okay, like you have to like get an outcome, but like the plan doesn't have to be the same, right? It's just a piece of paper. It's just a whiteboard. It's like all of that, like all those backup ideas are most likely what you're gonna do. So like having a good plan or having an idea of what works and what like when to do what is awesome. But at the end of the day, like you come in here and someone's like, dude, my lower back hurts, or like I can't sprint, or like stuff like that. Like real quick, you got to know, okay, I was gonna have you do like flying 10s, like a max velocity sprint, but let's just see if you can do some drills, right? Because like that's the next best thing that looks like a sprint, and that's gonna get you faster and stronger. But oh, you guys, let's finish out by talking about like flying starts, or like kind of bridging gaps between. Let me grab this chair. All right, Ian's not gonna be here today, so that's sick.
Gosh.
What's one thing you wish you knew more about in terms that would like help you out there? Let's start with Eric.
What's the context? Just in general?
Coaching, building rapport. I mean, like something related to like I said, like something that would help you out coaching a session. Which I know you're super fresh and like.
Yeah, I'm like fresh meat. One thing for me right now, which is so stupid, is just knowing everybody's names, which I'm getting better at.
Okay.
That was huge. That was like priority number one for me when I like started back at the old building. I was like, I have to know these kids.
Yeah.
Okay. Trev,
Oh gosh, I'm still thinking. Can you pass?
Alex.
I should know more about. I mean, we went, like, the thing that I wish I knew more about was what we kind of went over in the last, like, big, like, meeting we did was, like, a lot of the more technical sprint mechanic stuff that we went over, and I think this will just be a constant continuing education thing, but that stuff I really enjoy learning more about because it is the emphasis of our training here, so, yeah, I think just, I'd have to say continually, like, sharpening the coach's eye for sprint mechanics.
Anything particular? Like, why need like something really specific? Like one thing specifically.
Okay.
Like, is it drills? Is it like sprint mechanic with a start? Is it like upright running?
Fixing a heel strike.
There we go. See.
Pikachu.
What? Dude, you're the last one here. He's not here.
Yeah, no, I'm good.
What you got?
More knowledge, because more and more athletes are coming in extremely sore. So more knowledge and when to go in season, when not to, and like how to help with that. Like Clark and Aiden, they're all like, "Oh, I'm super sore in my back. I'm super this, that," and I just want to know more to. Instead of saying, yeah, probably you should talk to Thomas because I really don't know exactly what to do in regards to that.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes. In season slash.
Just fatigue or stress
stress.
life.
Okay. So. Here's what we're gonna do. I'll come back to that actually. I'm gonna think about that a little bit more.
James, Eric.
I can give some coaching related to.
Yeah, can you do better than that?
Yeah, can you please give me something coach related that would actually help me tremendously? That's why I stopped. Like, I gotta think about this.
Let me think here. It'd be like the last 10% of everything. So like I'm good at correcting obvious flaws and.
So like details.
Yeah.
Specifically, probably more for lifting.
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Yep.
That's better.
Cues.
Nobody cares. I don't know their name.
Hey, Billy.
Perfection. Okay, so here's what you're gonna do. Next week, Trev, you're out of town, so you're gonna have to do this.
I can do plenty of time in my
Well,
stand.
you guys are all gonna talk about these for 10 minutes next week.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, so you're gonna research on your own. You can ask a friend, you can ask me, you can Google, the whole world is your oyster. But I want you to like critically like come up here, do some research, like present some sort of like evidence or some sort of like education and be like, okay, like here's what I got, here's what I think is gonna work, and then we're all gonna be like, yay, nay, or like good job or whatever. But like this is just gonna give you something to focus on for this next week, right? Because it's great to say like, oh, like I'm gonna do some reps, but like have we looked into like have we like specifically like YouTube like why does a heel strike happen? And like that seems dumb, but it's like, hey, like just different strokes, different folks, like you're getting like more input from stuff that's like obviously like Derek can fix stuff like that, like just by like giving them a simple drill, which we can too, and like we'll like they're out there and like I can definitely point you in the right direction, but it's kind of like, let's try to figure out these answers for our own, because then I think it'll be a lot easier to correct stuff moving forward. Cool. So, Trav, you're going to talk about stress and how it relates to injury. Okay? Just look into that, and like that, I think that'll give you a better idea stress or fatigue or whatever you want to do.
Okay.
Eric, I would look more like biomechanically. Like I'd like probably look at like Pat stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That might help. That might be kind of annoying, but if you don't like them, that learn ebook actually is 100%.
Yeah, I was thinking about
Yes,
that.
that's
Yep.
like exactly what you should do. And then this would be a good one to. I mean, I know you already watched a bunch of his videos, but like, I would look at
That one running like seminar he did, I think.
the running seminar. It's in there, but it's also if you go to Vimeo, he's got a ton of videos on there.
Mm-hmm.
Of correcting stuff that would be helpful, and like even more drills. Or you could, you could look up Derek. You could look up who else like correct stuff like this. Hunter might have a video. That would be pretty good. I'll look on that. But
I'll look at it.
okay.
Nice.
Good job. All right, cool. So that's gonna be like homework for next week, like 5-10 minute like presentation, and then I'll finish out like the last half with kind of.
So will I do it the following week?
I guess so, Trev. I guess so.
I'm sorry.
Can you zoom in?
So we should be talking just take vacations. No.
I put it on the board 2 months ago.
Well, hey man, you shoot a deer Monday.
I'll come back. Yeah.
There you go. See?
Hey Dad, sorry I'm not gonna
Come
help you.
get some cage. All right.
Take anything.
So
Good luck cutting it
today,
up.
the topic, and I even wrote out a name for the video for you, so you don't even have to think about that. It's pairing training elements. What is optimal? Okay. So training elements. Obviously, all the training elements are what make up our entire session, right? From R1, the second the kids walk in the door, to the second they leave. Those are all training elements in between.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what's like pretty? I mean, ignore like what's up here, but like what's the primary emphasis of pretty much every training session we do?
Stress.
Strength.
Speed.
Yes and yes. So it's like speed is how we accomplish the stress. Okay. It's basically like stress inoculation, right? Like if someone's like afraid of water, have them dip their toe in, and once they start freaking out, pull it out, right? Then stick all your toes in, all right? And then your foot, and then sooner or later, you'll be walking up to your knees, and then you'll be swimming, okay? Skipped a lot of steps, but you get the point. So, speed, obviously, we've talked about like the motor unit chart, how like that's like, from a motor unit standpoint, like that's the highest form of stress you can place on the human body. Therefore, you get the highest amount of reward out of like gains, right? So speed, strength, all that stuff, power. That also does mean it's probably the most risky because there's greater room for injury, but that's why we kind of mitigate it through other means and shifting the emphasis and whatnot. So obviously, like when we write a program out, like the most important place to start is always going to be the R4, right? So our speed, like portion of the speed stratum, so like it's speed, agility, and quickness. All right, when we go there though, like today I want to kind of go over like how do you pair the R4 and the R5 a little bit better? So like like okay, like yeah, we can do like we have a pretty simple system, right? But now we're just gonna like kind of level that up even more by just getting more detailed with it. So basically what I want to cover is like how certain distances, like 10, 20, 30 plus meters, correlates to like what we're doing for that month or in the weight room or what we're doing in general. So like to start, think about this, like so I wrote emphasis under each block. What from 0 to 10 meters, what quality, like what athletic quality or like, yeah, I'll say that.
Acceleration.
Are we trying to develop? The acceleration is gonna be like 0 to like almost 30,
Okay.
for depending on who it is.
Strength, power.
Boom, strength. Okay.
Nice.
So, knowing that, right? So now we know, hey, if I'm doing 10s, that is going to get somebody like significantly stronger, especially kids we work with, all right? So, now that I know that, okay, I program a bunch of 10s, right? We do 10 10s and then 5 10s, like in like long starts and then like a lateral half kneeling, okay? Boom, got my strength working for today, okay? But now like what correlates with strength or what in the weight room is going to make this better, right? Because think about it, right? We're going to do these for like a month, all right? And so you want to make sure you're your sprint training matches what you do in the weight room, what you do with like med balls and jumps and stuff like that. So in order to do that, I kind of laid this out like what's gonna increase strength in terms of like how it correlates to 10-yard acceleration is like you'll do your weights, okay, that's obvious. Med ball throws, single jumps, and then that's kind of like your sprints would be your starts, okay? Because like a start is going to be like 0 to 10 meters. Questions on that? Like it's really that simple, right? Like single jumps, okay? Box jump, walk down. Broad jump, walk back or pause, okay? Med ball throws, they're explosive, they're hard, they're strong. And especially if you're doing something like this short, you can do a lot more volume with these, okay? So you'll do a lot of throws. Weights, I mean, I would use these more. Like 0 to 10 meters is like, if I got somebody in here for like the first day, like they probably shouldn't run over 10 yards. Is 15 okay? Yeah, that's what it's whatever. Like we've talked about like what's optimal versus what we have to do, right? So if we get someone who's brand new, like they would probably like we said, we just march them for like 30 minutes and have them go lift, but it's like can't really do that at the moment. So ideally though, 0 to 10 meters, you probably do about like 0 to 10 meters at 85% work on technique. All right, then from there, you'd probably do like accumulation weights, or what you do med ball throws or jumps, and then accumulation weights. And like that'd pretty much be it.
Wait, so you'd want to accumulate in the first 10 meters instead of doing intensification with weights? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. You can do both. So there's overlap. You see how I got these like little green lines? When we get over this side here, you'll see like there's a lot more overlap here. But like I said, like this is like what you do with the beginner. It's something like more like 10 yards. Like someone who's more advanced, like 10 to 20 is like going to be most field sport athletes. And they are like, and like that's a start. That's like an acceleration, right? Like your slower people are going to get up to speed before 20. Your faster people aren't going to be at top speed by 20. So it's like that's a good kind of middle ground, like 20-meter distance. And you got to think like no football player, basketball player, or like even like a soccer player, they're never gonna do a dead max out sprint at 20, right? It's like usually like a flying start, which we'll get to. But that's the emphasis we're trying to build, right? It was gonna be strength. So it's like when I'm doing probably an accumulation block, we're probably gonna do a lot of 10s or 15s, like 10 to 15s. All right. Then we're gonna do weights, we're gonna do throws, and we're gonna do single jumps. Okay. Next on, so what would be the emphasis be if we're gonna be more like 10 to 20 meters, okay? So like we're doing 10s, or we're doing like 15s and 20s. And like I said, right, like there is some overlap. So like even though it's in between here, like all this is gonna apply to this, but then we're also gonna get some carryover to this as well, okay? So like don't think it's like, no, like it blends. That's why I have this like little blending tool over here. Like, so we know what's down here, but like, what are we trying to accomplish, or what's going to be more focused in like a 10 to 20 meters like sprint, right? Because it takes a tremendous amount of strength, right, to do a 10-yard sprint. Mm-hmm. Like, for example, combine, right? Like, I'm not very fast, but I'm pretty strong. Like, and I did okay. Mm-hmm. And honestly, like on paper, Ian is the next strongest, or like, but he's also fast and he's also what?
Small.
Quality.
Just kidding.
Quality wise,
yeah.
Like athletically, what does Ian have that most of us don't because we don't play sports anymore? What is that in terms of like a catchword?
Power.
Yes. Okay, so like your 10 to 20 meters is going to be more power. Driven because you like, and like I said, these blend. So yeah, you need strength, but the longer you go out to 20, you're gonna get more power. Okay, so what does that mean? It means we just really don't change anything sprint wise, but we do other than lengthen out the distance. But down here, things change a little bit. Okay, weights are gonna be weights. Okay, like, and I was telling Alice earlier, like, don't get bogged down in the details of this, because like I said, like we're literally just trying to stress inoculate them, right? So like we're just dipping their foot in the water, all right, just doing a little bit more. Yeah, we have a system and it works really well, but it's like intensify, accumulate, like at the end of the day, like you want to just make sure like that what they do is pushing them and it's a challenge, right? So like if it looks like someone's doing joke weights, like it's your job to be like, hey, like that was too easy, go up.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know, I've never seen have you ever told somebody to go up before?
Oh, 100%.
Perfect. See, like that's most of your job is like you see it and you see the speed of the movement, you see how easy it was, and like they think it's like, oh, that was tough. It's like, no, dude, like that was a complete joke. Like you need to go way heavier, otherwise you're just wasting your time. And so like don't get too bogged down with weights. I don't think like accumulate intensify. We'll get there in a minute, but then we're still gonna do med ball throws. The only difference is we're gonna probably do more like multi jumps with them, or we'll combine jumps and throws together. So like jump, push, throw, jump, backwards overhead, jump, throw to the side, jump sideways, jump back, throw it up in the air, like.
Since that has to do more with power, correct?
Correct, right? Because power is work over time elapsed. Okay, so like for example, how do we know who's stronger if we all get under the bar and bench 135 for 5 reps? How do we know who's stronger? We're all benching the same weight.
Speed of the bar.
Oh, it's
Correct. Yeah, right. Time elapsed, right? Because like you'll know, right? Like we get there, like you wouldn't even need to time it probably, and it's like you're gonna get under the bar, and you're gonna see who can rep it out the fastest and who's like just blowing it up. Like that's the most powerful dude.
We should try that.
Yeah, we should. I thought the same thing.
Break some rib cages.
So yeah, so like and power, it's great because like yeah, you're getting a little bit of power with a single jump, but like power is repeated, right? So like think of a football lineman, he's got to go like 1, 2, 3 like jabs before the play is probably over. Like we're like trying to like get somebody off and like go around. Like you need repeated outputs of power. So like once you get a certain level of like power, you need to be able to like then develop how long you can be powerful. And then box jumps, like, and then like you can still do these, but like I said, you're gonna want a little bit more like power in it. So like you can do them like, we'll never do these here, but like an example would be like you jump up on a box, and then like you do another jump after it, or like you could just do like for all intents and purposes, like you can just do like probably like a squat jump twice, pop, done.
I was thinking that, or like just
Like
you would do
you're
like
just doing
ankle jumps.
Ankle jumps, no.
No, that would be stupid.
Why? Why not ankle jumps?
I don't know.
Because ankle jumps are like a plyometric.
Okay, but that's still with ankle jumps. That would still be the power part, wouldn't it?
Yeah. What does ankle jumps look like versus doing a squat jump onto a box? Just like think in your head, like when I see somebody doing an ankle jump versus when I see someone doing a squat jump, what does that look more like in terms of like the angles of the body, like what the body is doing in terms of like related back to sprinting?
Okay, so if you're doing ankle jumps, you're completely upright, and
Yes.
if you do a box jump, you're going down and going all the way up.
Yes. So
that's where I'm confused on why that's wrong.
okay. So what are we doing? We're running 10 to 20 meters, right?
Correct. Yep.
Do we get upright?
Oh.
No, true.
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. Some kids, yeah, maybe. Yeah, for sure. But like an ankle jump is going to be more down here. And we'll get there in a minute. I'll kind of go over that. But like
Gotcha.
a jump is going to be like more like full range of motion type deal. Or like for me, like it's going to be like you're going to like and look at like if I go like here, it's a falling start. Right. Okay. Or even if I'm up here, like that's still a falling start. Like it's like, yeah, that's what, and that's like really all you got to look at. It's like, don't really worry about the activity that someone's doing. Like, what is it matching what you're trying to accomplish, right? And if our goal is to always kind of like we build a program around this, like this is just, like the weights and everything else is just going to reinforce it. Like a med ball throw, like I'm doing the same thing as a start. I'm just doing it with a med ball to make it harder.
That actually makes complete sense.
Yeah.
Glad I asked that question.
Yeah. No, I'm really glad you did too. And like you're not using nearly as many muscles, right? Like yeah, like it is powerful, but it's elastic. And elasticity is more like speed.
Gotcha.
Or honestly, like power speed. But multi jumps is a good one. Multiple broad jumps, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. And then, yeah, like I said, jumps combined with throws. I'm just gonna go ahead and exit. I don't know why I wrote that up, but that was just on the sheet that I was reading. It's not really important. Okay, so then moving out like 20 to 30 meters, what's the